At dinner, Mom said, "Your brother and his wife need your room, they're starting a family." I opened my mouth to speak but Dad barked, "Don't argue. Be useful for once." I just nodded. 3 weeks later I bought the house next door and every day I watched their lives fall apart. But this Monday everything changed. It was one of the most unpleasant dinners I can remember. Not because the food was bad, though Mom's chicken somehow managed to be both dry and greasy, but because everything felt off. Jason and his wife had come over again, which was starting to become a weekly thing. I could already sense it wasn't a casual visit. They were quiet, polite, overly polite. And Mom kept avoiding eye contact with me. She waited until halfway through the meal to say it. "Your brother and his wife need your room. They're starting a family." At first I just stared at my plate. I was still chewing. I waited for someone to laugh or explain or soften it in some way. But no one said anything. Jason looked down at his fork like he'd rehearsed this already. His wife reached for the salt. Mom just took another bite like this was all perfectly reasonable. I opened my mouth, not even sure what I was going to say, but before I could get a word out, Dad snapped. "Don't argue. Be useful for once." That was it. That was the moment. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I nodded, finished my dinner and went up to my room, apparently not mine anymore, and started packing. They didn't ask where I would go. Didn't offer to help. Didn't ask if I had savings, a plan, a place lined up. They acted like they were doing me a favor by letting me stay this long. Like I hadn't been paying thousands every month to keep that house functioning. I covered bills, groceries, repairs, the stupid Wi-Fi they couldn't live without. $4,000 a month on average. And not once had anyone said thank you. So I left that night. Quietly. No dramatic exit. I took what was mine, loaded it into my car and drove off without saying goodbye. They didn't even notice I was gone until the next day. 3 weeks later I bought the house next door. Not down the street. Not a few blocks away. Next door. I waited until it hit the market, made a cash offer and closed in 7 days. A fully remodeled 3-bedroom with a pool and a better kitchen than theirs. I hired movers, bought all new furniture and timed it so I'd move in while they were outside. They saw the truck. They saw me smiling. They didn't say a word. After that, things got worse for them. Jason still wasn't working. His wife wasn't either. They'd moved into my old room, though I doubted they were thrilled with it. Mom and Dad started looking more tired, more annoyed, more strained every time I saw them outside. Their grocery bags got lighter. One of their cars vanished. Then the other. The lawn stopped getting mowed. I knew exactly what was happening. I had been the one keeping them afloat for 2 years. And the moment I left, they started sinking. I didn't gloat. Not directly. But I made sure they saw my deliveries. My pool guy. My new car. I waved when I watered my plants. Said good morning when I went out for runs. Their envy hung in the air like smoke. Then Monday happened. And everything shifted. Monday started out quiet the way I liked it. No calls, no emails, just the soft hum of the pool filter and the sound of birds wrecking whatever peace the neighbors still pretended to have. I made myself a good breakfast, scrolled through a few crypto charts, and felt the kind of peace I hadn't had in years. From the kitchen window I saw Mom struggling to drag 2 overstuffed trash bags to the curb. She wore the same sweatshirt I'd seen her in 3 days in a row. Jason wasn't helping. Neither was his wife. That used to be my job, silently picking up after everyone. I poured another cup of coffee and sat on the patio. Not even noon and I was already feeling smug. Then came the knock. Not the doorbell. A knock. Soft. Hesitant. The kind of knock people use when they know they're not really welcome. I stood for a few seconds just listening, hoping maybe they'd go away. Then I opened it. Jason was standing there. Same hoodie from last week, stains down the front. His wife stood beside him, clutching a suitcase and avoiding eye contact. Jason didn't even bother building up to it. They kicked us out. I raised an eyebrow. That was all he said. I could have asked questions. Could have stood there making him squirm. But I didn't need the details, I already knew. Mom and Dad had finally hit their limit. I'd been covering all the costs for so long I think they forgot what life actually cost. Once I left, it was only a matter of time. So I didn't gloat. I didn't even smirk. I just stepped back and let them in. They walked in like people who didn't know what to do with their hands anymore. Sat on the edge of the couch like they were waiting for someone to tell them what came next. I didn't. I brought them water, left it on the table and went upstairs. I couldn't look at them too long without getting angry. They stayed quiet for the rest of the day. Barely moved. Didn't ask for food. That night I found them curled up in the guest room, door shut, no light on. I left them alone. The next morning they were up before me, which surprised me. I found Jason's wife folding laundry. Mine. Like she was trying to make herself useful. Jason was outside on his phone, pacing, probably pretending he was networking. They didn't say much and I didn't push them. But every little thing started to irritate me. The noise. The lights left on. Dishes in the sink. My almond milk half gone. The sudden disappearance of the nice shampoo I kept in the guest bathroom. They weren't being loud or rude. But they were here. In my space. And I'd worked too hard for this place to feel like I was back under someone else's roof. I told myself it was temporary. 2 weeks. 3 max. Just long enough for them to figure something out. But by the second week I knew they weren't even trying. Jason had no job interviews lined up. His wife spent hours scrolling on her phone, not even pretending to look busy. They'd both gotten comfortable far too fast. The bills started rising. Utilities went up. Groceries disappeared quicker. I wasn't tracking every dollar, but I started noticing the dip in my fun money account. By the end of the 3rd week I'd burned through over $3,000. Quietly without complaint, but I felt every dollar. And maybe that was the worst part, how easy it was to fall back into that role. Quiet provider. Problem solver. Unpaid support system. Well, I wasn't going back to that. I needed them out. And I had a plan forming. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't kind. But it would work. Because I knew my parents. I knew exactly how to get under their skin. And I was going to make them beg to take their son back. By week 5 I stopped pretending they were just guests. They weren't packing. They weren't planning. They were just existing in my space like a bad smell that wouldn't go away. Jason had taken over the guest room completely, and his wife had started using the upstairs bathroom instead of the one next to the kitchen. Mine. My towels, my products, my mirror. She didn't ask. I didn't say anything. I just started locking my door when I wasn't home. And the worst part? They weren't even trying to be sneaky about it. Every morning I'd hear Jason sleep in until noon, then microwave whatever I had left from the night before. His wife would scroll TikTok on the patio and laugh loud enough to interrupt my calls. Occasionally I'd hear vague mentions of sending out resumes, but no one ever left the house. They were nesting. And I wasn't having it. I didn't work this hard to have 2 freeloaders lounging in my sanctuary. So I changed strategies. The first part of the plan was to take away their comfort. Slowly, subtly. Not enough to start a fight, but just enough to shake them loose. The Wi-Fi was first. I throttled the bandwidth through my router app. Netflix buffered. YouTube stalled. My apologies were always delivered with a fake frown. I blamed the ISP. Said I was on hold for hours. Never called, obviously. Then the thermostat. I dropped the temperature at night to 63. Just low enough to be annoying. When Jason complained about the AC being busted, I told him it was an auto-schedule I couldn't figure out. It wasn't. I stopped buying the good groceries. No oat milk. No protein bars. Just black coffee, plain rice, and frozen peas. They never said anything, but I noticed more fast food wrappers piling up in the kitchen trash. After that I ramped it up. I started planting ideas. Job listings on the counter. Warehouse call centers, night shifts. Left open tabs on the living room computer for places hiring with no experience required. I printed out a flyer for a janitor opening at a high school and folded it like it had been handed to me. Left it under Jason's phone. Then I baited the hook. During one of my fake loud phone calls, while Jason's wife was within earshot, I said something like, "Honestly, I think my parents just miss him. I know they're angry, but it's pride. If he just apologized, they'd probably let him come back." I said it like I didn't care. Like I wasn't trying. But she heard. And she told him. I knew because later that night, Jason asked if I'd talked to Mom recently. I said not really. Then I made the real move. Called Dad. I hadn't spoken to him since the night he told me to be useful for once. I kept it short, careful. I just thought you should know they're really struggling. Jason's trying. It's been hard on him, but he doesn't say it out loud. I think he misses you guys. Anyway, and I hung up. 3 days later Mom texted me. Just 2 words. How's Jason? I didn't respond right away. I waited a few hours. Then sent. He's trying. That was it. Nothing more. Let her sit with it. That weekend I noticed the front yard had been cleaned. Fresh mulch. Lawn mowed. Something was brewing. Then came the dinner invitation. Out of nowhere a group text. Dinner Saturday. All of you. 6 p.m. Jason looked shocked when he read it. His wife looked suspicious. I just nodded and said sure. When we walked into my parents' house, the smell hit me first. Pot roast, baked bread, wine already open. The good plates were out. Candles lit. It was the first real meal I'd seen them make since I left. We sat down like actors in a play no one wanted to star in. Jason barely touched his food. His wife kept glancing at me like I'd set a trap. Halfway through Mom looked across the table. Not at me. Jason. You can come back. If you want. That was it. No apology. No conditions. Just an offer. Jason froze. I didn't flinch. I took another sip of wine and asked for the salt. No one said much after that. But I knew what had just happened. The door was open again. My parents were breaking. And I had more moves left to play. Jason didn't give Mom an answer that night. We walked back from dinner in silence, just the sound of our footsteps crunching the gravel between our two houses. His wife stormed ahead, arms crossed tight, not waiting for either of us. I held the front door open for them and let it close without a word. She went straight to the guest room and slammed the door so hard a photo fell off the hallway wall. Jason lingered in the kitchen, staring blankly at the faucet like he expected water to pour out of it on its own. He didn't say anything. Neither did I. After a long minute, I left him standing there and went upstairs. By morning she was gone. Not just out for a walk. Gone. The guest bed was unmade, her bag still half full, but her phone and charger were missing. Her car was gone too. No note. No text. Not even a goodbye. Jason sat at the table drinking coffee like it was any other Tuesday. When I asked where she was, he didn't look up. She left. That was it. No panic. No calls. No mention of going after her. Just those 2 words. I waited for more, but he didn't offer anything. By noon I realized he wasn't planning to. She hadn't just stormed off, she checked out. Left him behind like a broken appliance, and he barely seemed to notice. That threw me. All this time I'd assumed he was the one clinging to her. That they were stuck to each other out of codependency or financial necessity or mutual failure. But the way he reacted, or didn't, made me wonder if things had been unraveling long before they showed up on my doorstep. For the rest of the day he barely moved from the couch. Didn't touch the food I made. Didn't speak. Just stared at the TV with the sound off like it was keeping him tethered to reality. That night Mom called. Not a text. A full call. She didn't waste time. We talked. Your father and I. Jason can come home. I let the silence hang. Then she added, but just him. I leaned back against the counter, heart racing, and asked what she meant. We're not taking her back. She was always cold. Disrespectful. This isn't about both of them. It's about helping Jason. The way she said it was sharp, final. Like she'd made the decision a long time ago and was just now saying it out loud. She's not family, she said again, softer. It shouldn't have surprised me. But it did. I told her I'd talk to him and we hung up. I sat with that for a while. I'd spent months angry at all of them. At Mom and Dad for tossing me aside, at Jason for freeloading without shame, at his wife for acting like she was owed something. But this was a twist I hadn't expected. They were willing to forgive Jason, give him a job, a place to stay, a second chance. But they had no interest in saving their daughter-in-law. They'd drawn the line and she didn't make the cut. The next morning I broke the news to him over breakfast. I didn't sugarcoat it. They'll take you back, I said, but not her. Jason looked up from his bowl of cereal. There was no surprise in his face. I figured, he said. Then he paused. I've been thinking of leaving her anyway. That stopped me cold. All this time I thought I was pulling the strings, pushing them out, breaking them apart. But it turned out there was a fracture there long before they ever moved in. I wasn't the wedge, just the spotlight. She's not who I thought she was, he said, then took another bite like he'd just commented on the weather. I asked if he was sure. If this was what he wanted. He just nodded and said, it's better this way. By Thursday she still hadn't come back. No calls. No texts. Jason didn't try to find her. Didn't even bring her up again. That Friday I helped him carry his bags next door. Dad was waiting on the porch. No hug. Just a stiff nod and a mumbled, we'll talk later. I watched them go inside. And just like that the house was quiet again. I thought I'd feel relief. Peace. But it didn't come. I wandered through the empty guest room, still carrying the smell of someone who left in a hurry. I found a single earring under the nightstand, a half-full bottle of shampoo in the shower, a folded hoodie on the closet shelf. She left pieces of herself behind like she expected to come back. Or didn't care enough to pack them. I should have thrown them away. Instead I closed the door. That night I sat by the pool with a glass of wine and a weird emptiness I didn't know what to do with. I'd won technically. Jason was out. The house was mine again. I had my silence, my space, my freedom. But something about it didn't feel like a win. Felt like something was just getting started. The house had returned to silence. No footsteps upstairs, no flickering lights left on, no empty mugs showing up in odd places. Just stillness. I thought I'd enjoy it. For weeks I'd dreamed of having my space back. But when it finally happened it didn't feel like relief. It felt like the final scene in a play after the audience had already left. Jason didn't text. Neither did Mom. I'd assumed things would stay that way. Until Wednesday morning when I opened the door to take out the recycling and found him standing there. No knock. No call. Just him, hands in his pockets, looking like he'd been standing there for a while. I didn't ask questions. just opened the door wider and stepped aside. He came in and sat down at the kitchen table like he still lived here. Like nothing had changed. Except everything had. He looked different. His hair was cleaner, trimmed. His shirt wasn't wrinkled. He looked like someone who was trying to be taken seriously. Like someone who knew he had ground to make up and wasn't asking for a second chance but maybe a first one. "I'm working with Dad's friend now," he said after a few minutes. "At the auto shop." I nodded. Waited. "It's not bad. Better than doing nothing." He paused, then laughed once under his breath. "Mom thinks you set this whole thing up. Said you manipulated us like chess pieces." I raised an eyebrow, but I didn't deny it. I didn't need to. We both knew there was some truth in it. But that's not why he was there. He got quiet again like he was building up to something. "She called me." I waited. "Why wife?" "Well, ex, I guess." He looked down, then back up at me. "She's pregnant." The words didn't land right away. I blinked. "She found out 2 weeks ago," he said. "Didn't want to tell me until she figured out what she was doing. She's in Arizona, staying with her cousin. She's keeping it." I sat back in my chair. He rubbed the back of his neck and added, "She doesn't want anything from me. Said she'll raise it on her own if she has to." I watched him for a minute. Not because I didn't believe him, I did. But because I wasn't sure what he was expecting from me. Sympathy? Advice? A hug? She said she might move back closer eventually. Not to get back together, just so the kid knows who I am. He looked at me then fully. Eyes glassy but not crying. "I don't know what to do." I didn't say anything right away. There wasn't anything easy to say. "You going to be part of the baby's life?" Finally asked. He didn't answer. He just stared at the counter like it might decide for him. Then he said, "You're the only one who ever told me the truth. Even when I didn't want to hear it. Everyone else either gave up or tried to fix everything for me. You didn't." That caught me off guard. He stood up like he was done, like he just needed to say it and walk away, but he stopped at the door. "I know I don't deserve your help. I just wanted you to know what's going on. I'm going to try bets. I have to." He left without waiting for a response. I stood in the doorway long after he was gone, watching the space he just walked through. And for the first time since I bought this house, it didn't feel like a fortress. It felt like part of something I'd tried to cut off but couldn't. That night, I sat by the pool with the lights off, letting the night close in around me. The air was warm, quiet, the way I used to like it, but now it felt hollow. A part of me wanted to ignore it all. The mess, the family, the consequences. I had money, freedom, peace. That was the dream, right? But dreams don't knock on your door on a Wednesday morning and tell you there's a baby on the way. And as much as I wanted to stay out of it, I knew I wouldn't. Because despite everything, the betrayal, the silence, the manipulation, this was still my family. And now someone new was coming into it. Whether I liked it or not. The following week felt unreal. I kept thinking about what Jason said. Not just the baby, though that stayed with me like a low hum I couldn't shut off, but everything else. Him trying. Him owning up to what he'd been. Him showing up without asking for anything. It didn't undo what happened, but it shifted something. Subtle but real. On Friday I got a call from Mom. Not to check on me. Not about Jason. It was about the house. "The gutters are falling apart," she said. "And your father's back is acting up again." I knew what she really meant. She wanted me to pay for it. I said no. There was a pause. Then she said, "I just thought since you're doing so well." "I'm not," I cut in. "I'm covering my own life now." Another pause. Then she said, "Jason told us about the baby." I didn't respond. "I know we've made mistakes," she said. "But this baby, maybe it's a chance for everyone to do better." I didn't agree or argue. I ended the call politely. Then I sat there at my desk staring at the wall. A week later, Jason texted me a screenshot of an email confirmation. A part-time job at a warehouse he'd applied to after his shifts at the shop. 2 jobs. 1 paycheck barely above minimum wage. But he wasn't complaining. And then came the question. "Would it be okay if I used your address for some stuff?" "Just mail. I'm trying to stay on top of everything." I stared at the text for a while. That line, the invisible one between helping and enabling, it's thinner than people think. I'd spent so long fighting for my own independence, clawing my way out of that house, that I hadn't realized how easily the roles could flip. How quickly I could become the one offering help in ways that carried quiet, heavy strings. I said yes. Just the mail. That weekend he came by with a manila folder full of documents, letters, receipts. Things I knew his parents wouldn't keep track of. Things that mattered now because he had something bigger than himself to think about. While he was there, I asked about the baby again. "Do you know what she's having?" He shook his head. "She won't tell me." "Not yet." Then he hesitated. "She said she's naming the baby whatever she wants." Said I'll find out when the birth certificate shows up. There was a beat of silence. I expected him to be angry, but instead he smiled a little. I deserve that. I didn't disagree. Before he left, he stood by the door for a second like he wanted to say more. Then he looked around my house. The quiet, the clean lines, the stability, and said something I didn't expect. I don't think I ever hated you. I think I just didn't know how to be anything without someone doing it for me. He didn't wait for a response. Just walked out. That night, I took the box of his wife's things from the closet and sat with it on the floor. The bracelet, the receipt, the sock. I put everything back in neatly, then sealed the box shut. I didn't throw it away. I didn't send it. I just put it in the attic. Some things don't get resolved. They just get put somewhere safe until you're ready to face them. Jason was still struggling. Our parents were still who they always were. And I was still figuring out what kind of sister, what kind of person I wanted to be now that I didn't need revenge to define me. But something had changed. A new life was coming into the world. One none of us planned for and maybe none of us deserved. But it was coming anyway. And whether I liked it or not, it had my name written somewhere in the fine print. So I started checking the mail a little more carefully, just in case. 3 weeks later, something shifted. Jason showed up at my door again. This time smiling, dressed in decent clothes, holding 2 coffees like we were just siblings catching up. He looked lighter. Not happy exactly, but focused. Like something inside him had finally clicked. He'd gotten a job. A real one. Not part-time, not temporary. Full-time work at a logistics company outside town, benefits included. A friend he knew from high school had put in a good word. And somehow Jason had managed to show up on time, say the right things, and get hired. He told me all this while sitting across from me on the patio, sipping his coffee and avoiding eye contact like he still wasn't used to sharing good news. I start next Monday, he said. Good hours. Decent pay. It's not glamorous, but it's something I can build on. And for the first time in months, I believed him. It wasn't just the job. It was the way he talked about it. Like he was finally looking at the road ahead instead of the ditch behind him. He said he wanted to get his own place as soon as possible. Not a fantasy, a plan. He'd started budgeting, cutting back, saving where he could. He wasn't going back to Arizona. Not yet, but he said he'd been texting her more. Keeping it calm, steady. Preparing for the moment when he could be more than a name on a birth certificate. I want to be someone the kid's proud of, he said. Not just someone who showed up late. I didn't say much. Just nodded. But inside I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time when it came to Jason. Hope. It didn't fix everything. Our parents were still difficult. The baby was still coming. His ex still hadn't forgiven him. And I still didn't trust that things wouldn't fall apart again. But for the first time I saw a version of my brother that I hadn't seen in years. Someone who wanted more than survival. Someone who had goals. Urgency. A direction. And even if he didn't say it outright, I knew this was the moment he'd started moving forward. Fast. Finally. We sat in the fading light and for once it didn't feel awkward. There was no tension, no unspoken blame hanging in the air. Just quiet, steady progress. He even mentioned taking night classes once he settled into the job, maybe finishing the degree he abandoned years ago. I didn't push. I'd learned not to. But hearing him talk about the future like it actually existed, like he had a stake in it, felt bigger than anything he'd said before. When he left that night, he didn't look back. He didn't need to. He finally had somewhere to go.